Hello there, YouTube. It is your boy B3 back with another kicking television reaction review. Today we are talking about X-Men the Animated Series, which ran from 1992 to 1996. I did watch this as a kid, but I recently watched through the entire thing, which was pretty rad. And I do think it holds up. Like, in Season 1, you know, the dialogue is as jerky as the animation, but like it does get better. The show does eventually get better. It's got a lot of multi-part episodes, which I'm a big fan of. Like, the show itself isn't serialized, but it has a lot of multi-part episodes, so you can kind of have bigger stories. That's really how I prefer it. A lot of the later animation in the series still kind of holds up. It's pretty good. The themes of the show still definitely hold up. You know, it's all about equality and prejudice and whatnot. Really holds up. And they don't hold back on it, like, at all. The the Friends for Humanity group, Friends of Humanity, they just have, like, straight up white supremacist imagery and outfits on. Like, they've got, like, Nazi armband, you know, parallels, and, like, the council have, like, KKK hoods on. It's pretty insane. They do not hold back on the messages about equality. There's even one point where an alternate Storm and Wolverine that are married go back to the 60s, and someone tries to kick him out of a diner for being an interracial couple. Like, that's not even mutant stuff. It's wild. And then in season 5, there's one episode. I think it's in season 5. Yeah, it's actually 2 episodes. Stormfront, part 1 and 2, where Storm has to go to this planet because it's being destroyed by all these environmental disasters. And in the episode, she's like, "Hey, your power source, it's what's causing this." And then the king of that planet's like, "No, yeah, I'm not going to get rid of it." And that episode was about equality because you eventually find out that this king has a planet full of slaves from another planet that, you know, do everything for him. But I feel like this episode pairing aged insanely well, because now it has a bunch of global warming parallels and stuff to it as well, because currently in real life, natural disasters are getting worse and worse and occurring more often and ravaging the planet, mainly, actually entirely, because of climate change. And we could fix it, but we don't want to change the fuel source we use. And this planet's doing the same thing. And to be completely honest, that does kind of go hand in hand with human rights and stuff. It kind of does. It's really complicated. I'm not going to fully explain that. But then there's just a lot going on in that episode. And it's also got what I feel like are these unintentional messages about just the upper class fucking the planet. I feel like those episodes have gotten more important over time. And a lot of these episodes have gotten more important over time. We still have just as much racism in this world as we did the moment racism was global, you know? And it's awful. And this show doesn't hold back on that message. The message is consistent throughout every episode. It's pretty wild. And one thing I like is, because, you know, all these X-Men, they're from different places on the globe. So they all have these thick accents. And in a lot of X-Men media, accents are kind of just done away with because they don't get actors that can do them. You know, like in a lot of the X-Men movies and stuff, they got actors for their star power, but these actors can't do the accents for the characters, you know? But in this show, anyone who's from anywhere has the accent from that place. And that's really cool to me because it really emphasizes the diversity. Because, you know, when the first issue of the X-Men comics came out, they were all white, but There's no way that people at the time would have let them make the X-Men an actual diverse team. But, over time, the X-Men have gotten lots of people of color and different nationalities and etc. And that's really, really well reflected in this show, which is fantastic. Fantastic. Jubilee is kind of the one that you're supposed to put yourself in the shoes of for a lot of the show, because she's kind of the new one that learns stuff along with the audience. And she is, of course, Chinese American, as well as a mutant. And then, over the course of 5 seasons, she's still kind of the newbie, but she isn't really used as, the one for us to empathize with as much. Now they just kind of want you to empathize with everyone. There is character development throughout all 5 seasons, and I do think 5 seasons is like the perfect amount for a show. More than 5, I feel like most shows really start to go downhill. But this show had it's a really good quality show. I think it ended at a good time. Throughout all 5 seasons, there is character development, but there could have been more. I mean, we eventually get Jean and Cyclops married, and, Jubilee becomes more mature, etc. Gambit becomes a bit less of a rascal. Everyone else kind of stays pretty much the same, though. I think Morph probably has the most character development, and they kill him off at the beginning of the show. Spoiler, he does come back. Death ain't permanent in comics, and therefore any media anymore, ever. But speaking of death, this show isn't afraid of death. A lot of children's shows are afraid to even admit that death exists. And here's the thing. So in real life, I'm a thanatologist. I study death, decay, and its effect. I study death, decay, grief, and their effects on the human mind and human culture. That's my degree. That's my life. That's me. That's what I do. Currently, I'm actually doing more paleontology stuff at a museum, but still, that's my specialty. And children understand the finality of death around the age of 9. That's usually about the time it clicks for them that death is permanent, this permanent thing where people stop existing in our world. And a lot of 90s cartoons that I used to watch didn't shy away from death. I'm not saying that they were bloody, that you saw people gutted on screen and stuff. No. And they don't use the word death all the time. Like when Mojo's goons are going to kill someone, they say they're going to cancel them, because they're TV show lingo. And they use the word destroy, eliminate, eradicate and stuff when they mean death. But death is a concept in the show, right? It's not... It's just... The kids that are watching this X-Men show, they're probably more 9 to 13 years of age, I feel like, is the sweet spot for this show. And those are kids that do understand the finality of death. And, death is portrayed as something that is sad and that people have to grapple with and stuff in the show. It's not shown as a good thing. The heroes always try to save people, no matter what those people have done. They never try to kill anyone in this show. Well, Wolverine maybe, but he never actually does. So I think that's good. I actually think that's good for children, because if you don't expose children to the concept of death, they aren't going to learn how to deal with their loved ones dying and with their own mortality as adults. That's a fact. That's an absolute fact. I am an expert in that field. I'm telling you, that's a fact, and that's real and true. But this show, it's a classic for a reason. This show is the main reason that people in my generation adore the X-Men. It's a really good, grounded show. It holds up for adults. There's a lot of stuff in there that's still relevant to this day. It's not just... The show is really one big moral message. All 5 seasons are the same big moral message about diversity and, not being a fucking racist, a bigot. And they even use that terminology, like bigot and etc. in this show. It's wild. It's really wild. And these themes are completely relevant for people of any age. And so I think that this show can be very entertaining for people of any age. And if your kids watch shows like this, where, you know, these fictional beings are overcoming diversity, then they'll learn that racism is bad. That'll help them learn that homophobia is bad, that transphobia is bad. You know, it'll help with all that stuff. So the X-Men are just as important today as they were when they were created. Magnificent, magnificent team. Very cool show. The first season's rough. The first season is admittedly kind of rough. And there's like really cheesy dialogue just throughout. And that's fine. I'm kind of a fan of the cheesy dialogues and wordplay and stuff. Beast is always quoting philosophers and stuff, which I feel like is something assholes do. Like fake intellectual assholes, but Beast is so kind, charming, and compassionate that it doesn't make him come off as an asshole. You know what I mean? Jubilee is very much a teen. Scott and Jean are very much in love. Wolverine is very much a complicated character. Rogue is really cool. I don't know who's my favorite. It's either Rogue or Storm. I might go with Rogue. I really like them. Gambit talks in the third person a lot, and that did get annoying. That admittedly got quite annoying, but I got over it. There were actually a lot of mutants that talked in the third person, oddly enough. But that's it. X-Men, the animated series, 1992. Great show. It's got the perfect number of seasons, 5. It's, you know, it's just really cool. It's bright and colorful. These are some of the most famous X-Men designs of all time. You got Jubilee in her goggles and raincoat. Wolverine in his blue and yellow, you know. Cyclops with his big yellow X-strap. Wonderful. But that's it. Thank you all very much for your support. Please remember to rate, comment, subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below. Facebook, Twitter, etc. And I will be seeing you all next time. Bye for now.